Hello, hello, welcome to Minds into Results. And today our guest is Gabriel Cian. He is serial entrepreneur transitioning from technology background to longevity. And as you can guess, we will speak today about longevity, how to stay young, look fit and beautiful. Hi, Gabriel.
Hello, Elena, and thank you so much for welcoming me on your podcast.
You're very welcome. I'm so excited to speak about longevity because this is one topic which I love very much. And I think that many of people who listening to us also would like to know how to keep healthy, beautiful, fit, and young.
Yeah, it's an exciting topic, to be honest. So I perfectly understand you and your audience to be so fascinated about this. And at the same time, it's a topic where the scientific progress is moving at a breakneck pace right now. So it's the right time to focus on this and to start applying this new medicine and this new science to our lives.
Yes, yes, I'm very agree that people have to take responsibility for the way how they feel, how they look, not just relying on traditional medicine, but mostly becoming conscious and aware about all those new trends and new ways how they can help themselves to be healthy and young.
Yes, absolutely. There's a huge transition in medicine that is happening right now. It's going to take a couple of decades until it's going to become mainstream. But people that listen to your podcast should be aware that until 2010, to say so, 2010, we and in the 20th century, we have applied reactive medicine. So what we would do is consider that by default we're healthy and we don't have any problem. Wait until something starts to hurt, and then go see the doctor, and then we try to fix something that is broken. But and it's made a tremendous increase in our lifespans, right? We went from 30 years of health span to 80 years of health span in the 20th century. So it's been a great progress. So now, in order to go even further, we need to consider that even if nothing hurts and you don't have any unpleasant symptoms, things are happening behind the lines under the radar. And you need to monitor everything before you start having the first symptoms, because when something starts to hurt, it's already too late and the irreversible damage has already been done. So this is like the transition between traditional medicine to preventative medicine. And this is happening right now. And the earlier you understand this, the better you're going to live and the longer and the healthier.
Yes, yes, so good. It is always easier to prevent than to treat. Yes, and when something
Absolutely.
already happens, when people find themselves in pain or other things that really disturb their life, it can be already so late stage that it would
Late
be,
stage, exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
and sometimes it is even not easy to get it backwards.
Most of the time, it's irreversible. Let me give you two examples that are very, very common. First of them is metabolic disorder. What you need to understand is that 25% roughly of the population on Earth today is metabolically unhealthy. What happens is that these people have unhealthy lifestyles, physical activity, diet, and so on. And as a result, their glucose levels start increasing, and at some point they become pre-diabetic. Pre-diabetes is a health condition that comes right before type 2 diabetes, and it's completely asymptomatic, which means you don't feel anything and your body seems to cope on the short term with that condition, and you still feel completely healthy. However, between after 5 to 10 years after you get pre-diabetes, you get type 2 diabetes, and at that point it's irreversible. However, prediabetes is reversible, but if you don't look into this, if you don't pay attention to it, then you will not know that you're pre-diabetic, and you will not know that you need to start applying preventative medicine to revert to a healthful health state. So that's one example. Second example is people at 50. You every day we hear people at 50, 60 having heart attacks, right? And we think that they became sick at that point. But what happens is that 20 or 30 years before that get that heart attack, the calcium accumulates in their arteries and they develop atherosclerosis. And those accumulation of calcium on their arteries is irreversible. So it means that you can control how quickly you add new calcium in the arteries, and you can limit the speed with which it increases, but you cannot revert this. So at some point when you're 50 or 60 and you get your heart attack, it's been 20 or 30 years that this thing has been going on in your body and you weren't aware of it. So those are two examples which are very common. Everyone has heard about people who have type 2 diabetes or who have health problems, cardiovascular problems. Those things don't happen overnight. Those things happen over decades.
Yeah, so
And
true. Because, mhm,
and they're irreversible. Just two examples.
mhm. Yes, because people, when they eat that fast food or chips or those hamburgers, yes, they, of course, they don't see the negative effects next day. Yes, and that is what makes them think, oh, nothing happens. Like I will eat chips or I will eat that maybe other this fast food and nothing happens. Yeah, but as you said, it is happening, but it is happening invisible for them. Yeah, but it is happening. Everything what we put in our body, it has effects. Yes, and it accumulates in many years, and then suddenly, when people don't even expect, and everything thinks like seems to be good, suddenly they have those say surprises, yeah, with their health, and it can be too late. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so how people can know that they have that pre di
Diabetes.
yes.
Yeah. So to be honest, it's pretty hard today because the technology exists and it's even pretty affordable. But the mindset of the doctors and of patients, of the general population, isn't there yet. So this is what's taking most of the time. Um, some general considerations. So what you should do is have a general set of blood labs every year or so, and to carefully monitor the different biomarkers and how they evolve year over year. So that is something that is pretty common in some countries, like for example, South Korea or Singapore, but is not commonly applied to European countries or the United States or most of the countries in the world today. So that's one example. And you can, of course, wait for 20 or 30 years until governments will understand that they need to invest into preventative medicine. But maybe at that point, it's going to be too late. It's your choice to stick with it or eventually take your life into your own hands and start applying preventative medicine with different services that are available today, online or offline, and start investing in your health before governments are going to invest in it when eventually it's going to be too late. So I would say regular checkups is something that is very important. Just as you save money for retirement, you should invest some time and resources into your health, because you have two main assets in your life, your wealth and your health. And investing in one of them and not the other doesn't really make sense, right? So that are the general considerations and recommendations that I would give. Start investing some time and some money into your health, long-term health. And regular checkups are going to give you very important insights into what's happening under the radar in your body.
How is important to take vitamins and minerals?
Yeah,
Because
so here it's
yes,
it's
some
very
people.
important, very, very important. Most of what's going on in this industry today is off the grid, is not pertinent, because most of the people who take supplements or vitamins are listening to their friends who are doing this, and it's a lot of storytelling around this. And the marketing people from the different supplements brands and drugs and so on are playing on this on this in this direction to tell people that this is working, they have to they should buy this or that. But the only way to do it in a very pertinent way is to do your checkups to see what biomarkers are outside of the normal ranges, and then to take the specific supplements that will bring those biomarkers within the general ranges. And then after 3 or 6 months, you would do a new measurement of the biomarkers, and you would see if that vitamin that you have too much or not enough of is still outside of the normal ranges. And then you would adjust your supplements and your vitamins depending on what's in your blood. This is the only way to do it in a very serious way. Everything else is related to placebo or to storytelling, and is very useful for companies to generate profit, of course, but not the best thing for you to take into consideration. Let me give you a very, very precise example of what happened to me. So at some point, I had too much calcium in my blood, and my medical doctor told me, so you should take magnesium, because magnesium is going to decrease the concentration of calcium in your blood. So this is what I've done. But guess what? After 6 months, I had too much magnesium in my blood and not enough calcium. So I stopped taking magnesium, and I got to a relative balance between both of them. If I didn't do it in that way, like measuring before and after the specific treatment, I would still take magnesium because at some point I needed it, and I would have too much of magnesium and not enough of calcium. So that's just an example, but things are very complex in our body, and if you don't monitor it on a regular basis, then you cannot adjust your lifestyle and your supplements depending on how healthy you are and on the priorities of the moment.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And the question which just came to my mind, that what is the best way to find that accuracy? What is that way to get the text to make sure that it is exactly like high accurate results?
Are you talking about the measurement, or are you talking about the supplements if they are really efficient?
First, let's speak about measurements. As you suggested, that people
Yes,
have to measure those parameters every 6 months to know what exactly supplements they need. Yes, so
yes,
what is the best way to do that? Maybe you
yes.
can
So most of
suggest
the time,
who does
yes.
this,
So
already has a good reputation.
yes. So most of the time you do blood work, right? So you take a small blood draw out of your body, and you would send it to a lab, and they would do the measurement, and they would give you the levels of biomarkers that you have ordered. Um, Most of the time, this is what you have to do. But depending on the kind of thing that you're trying to improve from time to time, it's not only blood work. You could use so many different other diagnostic tools, such as a DEXA scan. DEXA scan is going to measure the body composition, and you would see your body fat levels, your lean mass, and you would measure, if you, for example, if your goal is to decrease your fat mass in your body, then you would take different supplements, and you would measure every 6 months if the percentage of fat is decreasing in your body. So it's not blood work, it's a DEXA scan. You have many other, so it depends. It's pretty complex, but most of the time, I would say 80% of the time it's blood work, and then the 20% of remaining use cases is different other diagnostic tools, such as a DEXA scan. You'd have DNA methylation for epigenetic aging. And you'd have VO2 max, which is still another measurement. So again, many devices to measure different biomarkers, but most of the time it's blood work.
Yeah, very informative, useful information. Thank you for sharing that. So let's now speak about longevity. So we spoke about prevention and keeping good health, and feed your body with necessary supplements, vitamins. And of course, when we are healthy and feed our body with what is necessary, we will look younger and we will stay healthy for a long time. Yeah, so let's speak more about longevity. What is the new in this field?
Yeah, so very interesting question. So this longevity thing has been in the human mind for thousands of years, right? Um, and a friend of mine would say that uh, uh, living without getting old uh, is and selling sort of snake oil, a miracle recipes to achieve that is not the first profession on earth, but it's the second one, right? So yeah, so it's been around for many since the humans have been humans, right? And but however, what changed in 2010 is that a guy called Yamanaka, who is, by the way, a Japanese researcher in biotechnology, has discovered a set of 4 genes, OSKM, which, if activated, would generate a rejuvenation of the cell. And that cell that has been differentiated would turn to a youthful state, even turn into pluripotent stem cells again. So that has been a major breakthrough that triggered the whole longevity event to get into the whole longevity space, to get into a new dimension. Because at that point, it was the first time in the history of medicine and of science that people have understood how that they could rejuvenate a cell, right? And as a result, there have been more and more studies and more money invested into research into cellular rejuvenation. And if you can rejuvenate a cell, a single cell, then why wouldn't you do it with 30 trillions of cells that constitute the human body? So there have been more and more studies around this, and all this kind of inflection point has been reached in after 2010. Right. So we've been like 15 years back, and the whole longevity space has exploded since then. And that's so the direction that medicine and science has taken since this moment is to study two different things. First is preventative medicine, just as I told you about. So to monitor as many biomarkers as possible and to understand the long-term consequences between what you do today and what's going to happen to your body in 10, 20, or 30 years. And by doing this with applying preventative medicine to yourself is going to add maybe 10, 20, 30 years of additional healthy life to your life, which is significant, right? So that's great. So this is practical stuff most of the time. People understand it. It requires some self-discipline, but again, it's not science fiction. In addition to this ecosystem, I would say, of preventative medicine, you have completely futuristic and science fiction-like technologies that are being developed right now that would completely alter and improve how cells work at the cellular levels. Okay, so you could replace cells. You could treat humans with stem cells that would differentiate into organ cells depending on the kind of organ that you want to rejuvenate. You have 3D printing, organ 3D printing that is moving really forward. You have reversible gene therapies. So those things are altering the way that our bodies work at the cellular level. So the theory today is that you could, by applying, like eating the right food and applying the right lifestyle, you could maximally live up to 120 years. Why? Because, like 8 billions of people out of 8 or 9 billions of people today, the ones that are living the longer still die at around 120. And there was a French lady, Jeanne Calment, who lived 122, and it's like the absolute record in the world. So that's 120. If you want to go above 100, beyond 120 years old, you need to start playing, mingling with the biology and with the cellular mechanisms that generate aging. So this is where the biotechnology is working right now and trying to push the boundaries of health span. So you have those two ecosystems that I would call health spanners for the very practical stuff that you could apply to yourself as of today, and the health spanners who are trying to, completely disrupt the field and push the boundaries of human life beyond 120.
Wow. Yes, it is significant. When you said about it, I just remembered how it was said in the Bible when it was Noah flood. Then it was said that your life will be 120 years because before flood,
Yeah.
people lived longer. Yes, we know that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Very interesting similarity between what science is telling us today and what is written in the Bible.
Yes, it is just so impressive, like because this was written how many years before science now confirmed that, just what you said now. So it is
Yeah.
another confirmation that how Bible was true. Yes, to give this is exactly 120 years, not just 130 or 40, exactly what.
Yeah, it's surprising. Surprising.
Yeah,
Absolutely surprising.
that's incredible how Bible is so correct in many things. Yes, even this one, every topic we can get back to Bible and find those even numbers. Yeah, great. So let's speak a little bit about the movement. How important the movement is, because people have goals, they have dreams, and our listeners are business owners, entrepreneurs who have those big audacious goals. And how important is to move every day? Because of course, if we have so much work, sometimes we can just be caught with sitting in front of computer all day and thinking that, okay, I will do tomorrow gym, or I will go for a walk maybe in a few days. So how important is to move every day? We hear that the minimum everyone has to make 10,000 steps every day, yes, to just get this blood circulation moving, that all organs also active. So what would you say about that?
Yeah, so it's the most important topic when it comes to longevity. There are 5 key areas that need to be taken into consideration, and physical activity is the very first one. Okay, so it's thank you for pointing that out and starting with this one, which is the most impactful. So when it comes to physical activity, you have some basic stuff that is applicable to everyone, right? The 10,000 steps you're talking about is a no-brainer. It's good for everyone, and it's like the absolute minimum that each one of us should be doing. Okay, so that's great. But then if you want to go a little bit further and sort of adapt your physical activity to your priorities, to your lifestyle, to your body, to your age range, and the other parameters that define you, you need to go a little bit further into understanding what you need to do. So there are 3 main aspects in physical activity. First, you'll have the cardio. Okay, so which means making an effort that is going to use as much oxygen as possible, and to drive your heartbeat to its upper limit. Then
Mm.
you have resistance or strength exercises. Um, And their purpose is to increase your muscle mass and your strength. And it also increases your bone density. So that's different, and it's also important. So that's like the second category. And the third category is flexibility and the health of your joints. So that is something that is also very important. And depending on, again, the age range, the kind of body you have, the kind of accidents you have, and the different priorities, and genetic predisposition also, you would balance those three aspects of physical activity in different ways. For example, if you're a kind of 60 or so or more, and your muscle mass is decreasing, what you would focus on is strength training, right? Because you want to increase your muscle mass, not so much on cardio. If you're young and you have been sitting on your butt for decades, then you would maybe do more cardio, because maybe your VO2 max is limited and you want to increase this. By the way, VO2 max is a very, very important indicator of overall health. So yes, that's what I would say. So as a basic, is 10,000 steps is great, and then you have three areas of in physical activity, and you have to balance them depending on your parameters and your body.
Yeah, and how important is the weight lifting for people who are 50 plus? As you said, that their muscles are getting loose, and they lose that muscles as volume. And how important is the weightlifting? And also, there is opinion that cardio is not very good for people who are 50 plus to do a lot of cardio.
Yeah, so what I would say is, as a general rule, so it's very important to understand that each individual is different, and we're talking about general rules and realities. But if you take each person on a case-per-case basis, they would need to take into account their own life and body and again, genetic, right? So what I'm going to tell you is general ideas and rules that do not apply to everyone. So that are statistically significant, but again, are not applying to everyone. So that being said, as you get older, you have what is called sarcopenia and osteopenia, which means that the muscle mass decreases and also the bone density decreases. So one of the best ways to fight against this is to do strength training and weightlifting, just to use the term you've used. So as you get older, this becomes more and more important. Absolutely.
Yes, yoga. Yes, yoga also is good, I think, for every age, because it has stretching for flexibility and breathing. So I think yoga is very good. What you think?
Yes, I do think it's very good. And to be honest, what I do, so I'm 43. I'm in an age range that is what it is. So it's I'm doing things that are adapted to this age range. But my mindset is to try to be as diversified as possible when it comes to physical activity, because if you train on a specific exercise, you would become very strong eventually on that exercise, but you also increase the likelihood to have accidents, to have the muscle to be torn, or different accidents because of the repetition of the same movement, right? So you want to avoid that. And also, longevity is about doing many things with your body as you get older. It's not about doing only one movement or one set of movements. So you want to be as diversified as possible, because this is how you train your body to do as many things as possible. So even if you don't train like crazy in a specific area, you would diversify as much as possible. And this is the best way to go when it comes to longevity. Of course, if you want to train for a performance, for a competition, then you will do the same thing over and over, because you want to be very good at a specific in a specific sport or activity. But if you're training for longevity, you should be as diversified as possible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And some people say that running is not good for 50 plus. What would you say? They say that it is better to walk instead of running.
Yeah, so it depends. It depends on why they are saying this, because what is true is that your knees and your joints are suffering if you're running too much, or you're running on a surface that is not adapted, or with the wrong shoes. And you also, if you're doing like high intensity training and fractioned running, which means that sometimes you run really quickly and then you run at a lower pace. When you run really quickly, the risk of accidents increases. So you want to avoid at all costs. And as you get older, accidents are becoming very debilitating, because you have an accident. If you have an accident, your body will not be able to regenerate as it used to when you were younger. So as you get older, you want to avoid accidents as much as possible. So this could be reasons why people say that it's not good to run after 50 plus. But again, if you're running with the right shoes and the right distance and at the right pace, and eventually you also run on a treadmill, if you want to go further with like running fast or anything, then it's going to mitigate the obstacles and the drawbacks, and it's also giving you that kind of cardio training that is also very important.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the last question before we wrap up this episode, because we can speak for so long, maybe we should record
Hours,
another
for
one.
hours and hours.
Yeah, so let's speak a little bit about the food. What food people should avoid in order to stay young and healthy?
Yeah, so here also, like the right answer, the short answer, it depends. Now let me elaborate a little bit on this. So there are a couple of recommendations that are, again, a no-brainer for everyone, and everyone is going to benefit from them if they apply them into their diet. One is avoid processed foods, fast foods, and everything that when you read like the description on the package and you don't understand what this means, then you should maybe avoid that kind of specific food. So avoid processed foods as much as possible. Second recommendation that is good and suitable for everyone is avoid sugars as much as possible. Now, after I told you those two things that are applicable to everyone, the rest is going to hugely depend on, again, the age range, your sex, and also your body and genetic predisposition. Basically, you have three macronutrients. You have proteins, you have carbs, and you have fats. And depending again on the problems that you might have in your body, you should avoid one or two of those macronutrients. For example, if you have a prediabetes problem and metabolic disorder problems, you would avoid carbs and you would lower carbs as much as possible. If you want to increase your muscle mass, then you would increase the proteins. If you have atherosclerosis or a high level of LDL or ApoA or ApoB, you would eventually decrease the quantity of fats, and you would focus on decreasing them, or at least taking the right fats in your diet. So this is where it depends. And again, eating healthy, everyone is a no-brainer that you need to eat healthy. But again, it doesn't mean anything if you don't put some specificity into it.
Yes, I think we can record separate episodes for all of this. Yes, so we
I
will.
will be excited to do so if your audience is interested in it,
Yeah, yes, it's
to
really.
get into details.
Yeah, we can go details. So the last question, let's speak about the sugar. Why sugar is so important to be minimized? Because so many people have this tendency for craving. Yes, they want something sweet. If they worry, they won't just go and eat some biscuits or cake, and it makes them feel good. And some people find it difficult to quit sweets and sugar.
Yeah. So there's an evolutionary answer to this, is that sugars are very easily translatable into energy. They're quick energy, right? And evolution over millions and millions of years, the organisms that lived for a longer time were the ones that were able to run quickly to catch their prey or to escape, if or other animals were running after them. So sugar has been the ability, to eat sugar and then to turn it into immediate energy has been a game changer for in evolution, right? So here we are, like in 2025, with bodies that have been created through hundreds of thousands of years, and who are used to take this resource, this quickly translatable into energy resource, and to use it. And our bodies are trained to be attracted to this because it meant it was the difference between life and death for so many thousands of years. And so here we are. So what happens exactly is that this very quick and easily accessible energy has this problem that it creates cravings, as you say, and then you would want to eat even more. And again, this has been a very healthy mechanism for evolution because food was scarce. So when you had food, you needed to eat as much as possible. Doesn't matter if you had fat. It's a good point to have fat when you will not eat for a week or so afterwards. But as we started living in a society of abundance and we have so much food, this is starting to create negative effects. So that's something that explains, from the evolutionary point of view, what has been going on and why we are here. And now that we are in this at this point, is that we need to limit this and to be self-disciplined to try to avoid sugars, which is again very difficult in today's society because sugar is everywhere.
Yes, yes, and it is difficult to change the habits, because most people are,
Very, very difficult to change the habits.
yes, so it is when people understand how it can be harmful, what harm sugar makes for their body, maybe it will help them to get that power, willpower.
Yes, this is so this is very, very interesting. You have those devices that are called CGM, continuous glucose monitors. There are small devices that are this size, and you put them on at the back of your arm, and they would monitor in real time your glucose levels. So
Mhm.
you know that when you take some sugar, you would see the glucose spike in your body, in your blood, and that would make you aware of what this is doing to your body. And knowing that is a component of the mechanisms that are going to help you control yourself because you know how harmful this is to your body.
Yeah, so tell us how harmful it is to our body, and then we will wrap it up this episode, and we will
Yes.
speak about
Yeah,
this
sure.
new one.
Sure. Sure. So what happens with sugar? So as I told you, when you eat, the sugars are immediately available to your body, and they get into your blood. For different reasons, the levels of glucose in your blood need to stay at a steady level, somewhere between 80 and 110 deciliters per milligrams per deciliter blood. So what happens is that as the sugar is released into your body, your pancreas is going to create insulin, and insulin is a substance that is going to tell to your cells to absorb the glucose and the sugar that is in your blood. What happens on the long term is that your cells become more and more resistant to insulin, and your pancreas needs to generate more and more insulin for your cells to be responsive to it and to understand that they need to absorb that glucose. And at some point, your pancreas will be unable to generate even more insulin. And as time passes by, your pancreas needs to generate more and more insulin, and your cells are less and less sensitive to insulin. So you develop what is called insulin resistance. And at some point, this mechanism doesn't work anymore. And at that point, your glucose is going to stay in your blood, and it's going to generate some very harmful consequences to your blood vessels, to your eyes, and to different other organs. So for that, when you get to that point, you have type 2 diabetes, and you need to take insulin, and you need to take permanent medication. And the metabolic disorder and the type 2 diabetes is what we could call the foundation of all the other chronic diseases that happen during the older age. And so you want to delay that as much as possible, and ideally even avoid it altogether.
Yes, I think it is enough for people to stop eating sugar.
Yeah,
Yes.
not easy, but you can do it. I mean, the same methodologies that you would use to stop smoking are similar to the ones you should use to stop eating sugar. So with some motivation and some proven methods, I think we can make it.
Yes, and it is a very good method how to do it. Just think about today that today I'm not going to eat sugar and celebrate victory and do this again tomorrow.
Yes, the small step strategy. This is at the very core of what we should be doing. Compound interest is important. Something small that you do today, added to something small that you do tomorrow, year over year, decade over decade, is eventually going to make a big difference.
Yes, and it is interesting that when we don't eat sugar, we lose that craving. So if you just do it 1 month, just think about like 1 month or even 15 days. 15 days, I'm not going to eat sugar, and you will see how you will look better, how you will feel better. And in 15 days, you will not even want it so much as you think that you have it today. Yes, because
Yeah. Yes, the harder is at the beginning, and then things start being more reasonable and acceptable.
Yes, thank you, Gabriel. It was so amazing conversation, and I'm sure that our listeners enjoyed it and took so much value from it. And I'm very fond of having you in our next episodes again, so we can go deeper to all different uh, subjects which we just touched today. Yes, so thank you so much.
Thank you
And
very much. Thank you very much again. It was a pleasure to discuss about this. I've made it my life mission to help as many people as possible live as long and healthy as possible. So when people ask me questions about this, it's very difficult to stay within a certain time frame. I hope I haven't been too long on those topics, and it would be again a big pleasure to discuss about some more specific topics related to longevity in one of your next episodes.
yeah, longevity is my favorite topic, so I can speak with you for hours.
Okay,
Yes,
great. Looking forward for the
yes,
next episode. Bye
looking.
bye, Elena. Thank you
Yeah,
very much. Bye
yeah.
bye.